While studies show the rich keep getting richer around the world, the recently released BRW Rich 200 list gives us some insights into what's happening to the fortunes of Australia's wealthiest individuals. I've always found there are interesting lessons to learn by following the fortunes and the misfortunes of others. This year there were more billionaires than ever, 53 of them, and the average wealth per person was $987 million. A quarter of the rich list made their money in property, with Meriton's founder Harry Triguboff claiming the top spot with a personal fortune of $10.62 billion. These 50 property rich listers are now worth a collective $68 billion, almost 3 times the value of the 16 people there in the resources, from the resources sector. So what can we learn from Australia's wealthiest individuals? Firstly, property is still a number one source of wealth. While industrialists and mining billionaires' fortunes wax and wane, looking back over the years, no matter how Australia's economy changes, the Rich 200 list has always been dominated by property entrepreneurs. This year, 50 of the rich listers made the majority of their fortunes in property, while many of those who made their money in other sectors stored it in real estate. And remember, there's nothing wrong with seeing what other successful people do and applying those principles to your own life. If so many extraordinarily wealthy people have used real estate profitably, it stands to reason there's money to be made in this sector. The second lesson is anyone can become rich in Australia. While many people inherit their wealth, most of the rich list were self-made successes, some coming from working class backgrounds and having no tertiary qualifications. Harry Triguboff was a Chinese-born son of Russian immigrants. He studied and started working in textiles and got involved in his first property deal in his late 20s. Other rich listers also proved that attending a private school or having an elite education is not a prerequisite of joining Australia's wealthy. The list also showed us that markets move in cycles. The stock market's flat at the moment, the mining boom has ended, and many of last year's mining magnates are worth much less than they were a few years ago. Gina Reinhardt, who had the number one spot since 2010, has slipped to 4th place due to a combination of falling commodity prices and a legal battle that saw her daughter take over a large part of her estate. However, successful business people and investors have always thought long-term, taking advantage of buying opportunities when assets are on special. So it'll be really interesting to see next year's results and see how the counter-cyclical investors fare. Remember Warren Buffett's saying, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. The list also taught us that the rich work hard for their money. You'll find plenty of people on the list who are still working hard and making money at an age when most Australians are looking forward to retirement. You see, it takes time to become uber wealthy unless you've left a handsome inheritance. Harry Triguboff's been in every BRW Rich list since its inception, and it took years to work his way to the top. Like many on the list, at 83 he's still working, but he's passionate about his work. He's not interested in stopping. In fact, he recently rejected an offer of over $6 billion, saying he wouldn't know what to do with the time or the money. The list teaches you to take risks early, but once you're established, not to keep risking things. Many rich listers took big risks to get their enterprises going. But these successful business people then preserved their wealth by cautious investing rather than further risk taking. Another point is that the wealthy people make their money early and then reinvest their money rather than spending it. That allows compounding to grow your asset base. They also had one good idea and repeated it. The core trait that many successful entrepreneurs share is their ability to find a good idea and repeat it over and over. That's why they become an expert rather than trying to do one thing 100 times. Look at the rich list and you'll see many entrepreneurs stick to the same concept for years, but just expand it to other locations. The rich also go for growth. Sure, cash flow is important, but to become really rich, you need a large asset base. While the average Australian tries to increase their cash flow, the wealthy are obsessed with building their asset base. Much the same with the BRW Rich 200 list, who concentrated on building their balance sheets even more than they did on their profit and loss accounts. The rich also surround themselves with a good team. Triguboff has a reputation for being ruthless, but is also known for saying he's paying good money to his team, so he should listen to them, otherwise he'd be stupid. As I've often said, if you're the smartest person in your team, you're in trouble. Another trait of the successful people is they take action. All the people on the list started with a dream, had a vision, created a plan, and then took action. And the last lesson I'd like to share is you're never too young or too old. Tim Gurner is this year's youngest Rich List debutant at only 34 with a 460 million property empire, and Stan Perrin at 93 is the oldest member of the list. What have you learned from Australia's richest people? What could you do different to become more successful, to get ahead of the pack? I'd recommend, like many of the rich listers, build your asset base by buying high growth properties and adding value to them. Now, I recognise we're in difficult economic times, times of uncertainty, but over the next 10 years we're going to have some good times, some bad times, some periods of high interest rates, some periods of low interest rates. We're going to have periods of strong economic growth, and there's going to be downturns. But savvy investors count on the good times, but plan for the downturns by having an asset protection plan, as well as a finance and tax strategy. So maybe you didn't make it onto the list this year. Remember, there's nothing wrong with seeing what these successful did and applying these principles to your own life. So if you're looking for independent property advice that will help you grow your own asset base, why not have a chat with the team at Metropole? Remember, our multi-award winning team have no properties for sale, but access to every property on the market, meaning our advice is unbiased. Whether you're a beginning investor or a seasoned professional, we'd love to help you formulate an investment strategy or do a review of your existing property portfolio. We'd love to help you take your investment to the next level. So give us a call or click on the link at metropole.com.au.